Welcome back, friend. Today we are diving into a topic that's key for families cruising the Great Loop: how to effectively collaborate with your partner to manage both work and parenting while you are living on the move. Whether navigating the boat, homeschooling the kids, or juggling remote work, finding the right balance between responsibilities can be really challenging. In this episode, we're going to talk about strategies for clear communication, some time management, and teamwork that can all help you and your partner stay productive, reduce some of that stress, and create a smoother experience for the whole family as you cruise. This is especially important for loopers because with frequent travel days, ever-changing schedules due to weather, and the added task of homeschooling, finding ways to work together and stay flexible is very crucial. So grab a cup of tea, get comfortable, and let's explore how we can make it all happen while embracing the adventure. Okay, I've split this up into three key areas for us to talk about. So let's start with number one, which is clear communication and setting expectations with each other. Clear communication is important for a relationship and boating in general. We've all seen the shirts that say, "I'm sorry for what I've said" while docking the boat. And that's, if you're new to boating, you know docking can be very stressful as you are trying to communicate with each other, trying not to hit other boats, trying not to hit the dock too hard, and maybe you're having a hard time hearing each other, so your voices are getting raised, and that helps raise the stress levels, which is not great. You maybe even have heard of the headsets that a lot of boaters like to wear that they call marriage savers, because it helps them keep that tone of voice down a little bit and helps reduce some of that stress in the situation. So just use that as a reminder that ongoing communication is also essential to establish your shared goals and responsibilities, just like it is in just boating. Setting clear expectations for work time, your family time, your personal time, all of that's going to help you and your partner prevent misunderstandings. We've got to have a lot of communication. Regularly checking in with each other to adjust schedules as needed can also be really helpful, especially if you are in the first few months of your loop adventure or any nomadic adventure and you're learning what works for you and your crew. Remember how in our last episode we said to loop is to move? That constant movement on the loop requires extra communication, especially when when you're planning your travel days. It can be really helpful to decide in advance, even day by day, who's going to handle driving the boat and the navigation of your passage for that day, who's going to manage the kids during those passages, how are you going to fit in homeschooling and work around all of this. There's a lot to figure out and a lot to be flexible with. The first half of my family's loop, I was working full-time on the weekdays. Chris would navigate the boat, he'd be at the helm, and we would work together to make sure the kids had some activities and assignments that would keep them busy during the passage. When we did the river system, that's from Chicago down to Mobile, Alabama, the weather was really cold. We weren't able to start that part of our journey until late October. So inside, we had the diesel furnace running, and it was nice and cozy for me and the kids while I worked and while they did homeschool. But Chris was at the helm outside. And remember, we have a sailboat, so our helm, while we do have some protection, it's not warm, it's exposed to the elements, so it was cold for him. He enjoyed the driving, but I would make sure to use my lunch breaks and any other time in between meetings that I could break away for at least a little while. I'd go up and take the helm so he could come down and warm up inside, and I got to enjoy a little bit of that outside time and give myself a brain break during the workday. So we figured out a flexible way that kind of worked for us and made sure that he stayed warm when he needed it. Agreeing on a flexible, adaptable plan for each leg of your journey is going to help both partners stay aligned and make sure that everybody's feeling like they're getting what they need. Hey friend, we'll get back to the episode in just a moment. I hope you're enjoying this episode, and if so, please share it with a friend who needs to hear this today. I also want to give you a gift for hanging out with me today. I want to share my free Roadmap to Adventure checklist with you. Using this checklist, you'll be able to navigate the Great Loop planning stages without feeling so overwhelmed. It's designed to guide you step by step, so whether you're just dreaming or you're ready to launch, this checklist will help you get there. If you've already started planning or you're just curious, it's absolutely free. Just go to looplifeacademy.com/checklist. That's looplifeacademy.com/checklist, and you can sign up and get this free checklist right now. Back to the episode. The second category that I want to talk about to help with this balance for each other and for your crew is scheduling and time blocking. Sometimes creating a shared schedule that blocks off specific times for work and childcare, for taking care of the kids or doing what you need to do with the kids, can help make sure that both partners have some uninterrupted time for productivity, whether that's doing work or prepping for homeschool or even doing some boat maintenance. Whatever productivity you need, working together and time blocking some things might be really helpful for that. This is going to be important for time-sensitive things too, like your scheduled meetings or maybe some live virtual classes that the kids have. Also, keep in mind your lock and bridge openings that maybe are at certain times, or if you're working with tidal currents and you need to have timing a little bit more specific, think about the things that might be useful to time block. But also recognize that specific time blocks might be difficult to stick to because remember, weather changes and departure times might be different depending on the passage day and where you're traveling and what the tide looks like. All of those different things. So you still need to have some of that flexibility for boating or during travel in general. So here's a few tips that might help. I'm going to just kind of list through a few and some of the ways that it's worked for us, but you'll have to kind of figure out what works for you. But here's some ideas to get you started. First, set some loose daily goals, not necessarily a strict schedule. You might have kind of a routine, but having some daily goals that are a little bit loose might be helpful. So instead of sticking to a rigid daily routine, which might be easier in land life when you drop off the kids at school, you go to work, you pick up the kids from after school care, like that's very rigid. On the boat, it might need to be a little bit more flexible. So outline some general goals for the day. For example, maybe you aim to cruise in the morning and homeschool in the afternoon, but stay flexible in case something needs to shift. Another idea, like I mentioned earlier, was using short time blocks. Break your day into smaller time blocks, like 30 to 60 minutes, and use that to work around your travel schedules. For example, maybe tackle a few small work tasks while you're anchored or waiting at a lock, and then fit in schoolwork during calmer travel stretches. You might also want to build buffer time into your schedule. This is really good to keep in mind, allowing extra time when planning travel days or even an activity. There could be things like weather delays. Maybe you can't even travel the day you thought you would. There could be an unexpected stop, or maybe just the day has been slower travel than you thought, and all of that can disrupt your plans. So having some buffer time can help reduce the stress if things don't go how you expect them to go. Also remember to stay adaptable to the weather windows. The weather is going to dictate a lot of your travel plans on the loop, so be prepared to adjust your schedule based on the favorable conditions that you have for cruising, and then use those non-travel days to catch up on work or on homeschool, maybe some boat maintenance, maybe just a little cleaning when that weather is not ideal for moving. So that's another little bit of flexibility of using those days to your advantage when you need to stay put. Or plan to stay put during busy work days. If you've got a lot of meetings or a deadline, use those days to get through homeschool tasks while your partner is working. You could do those boat chores, or maybe it's a good day for land activities with the kids. A lot of these towns that we stop at have maritime museums or libraries, ice cream shops, playgrounds. Those are great activities to go seek out on land. Also think about prioritizing your key tasks every day, especially if you are working remotely. Focus on the most important tasks each day, whether it's your work deadline or maybe it's a homeschool lesson you want to try to tackle that day. As a full-time employee, one of my prioritization methods was to write down what my top 3 goals for each day were. So the first thing I did every morning, I'd look at what I have for meetings, what I had on the schedule, and what tasks I needed to get to, and I would prioritize my top 3, and that was my goal. I had a loose goal of try to get through those 3 things. Anything else would be flexible, and if I could get to it that day, it'd be great, but if not, that's okay. I got through my first 3 things on my list. So keep a list of those secondary tasks that might be able to be shifted to another day if your plans change unexpectedly or you just can't get to it. Also remember to tag team the responsibilities on the boat. Take turns with your partner to cover the different tasks you have. One person could focus on homeschooling or managing the kids, while the other handles work or boat duties, and then swap when you need to. My husband, Chris, and I, we often tag team for boat navigation on passage days just because you need breaks. There will be some days where I will be at the helm for the entire day while Chris is trying to get through work that requires a deadline or has a number of meetings. But when we can, we tag team so that we both can get a few things done and not one person is stuck with being unable to work for several days. When we are staying at an anchorage for a few days, then we'll check in throughout the day to see if one of us could use some deep focus time while the other maybe takes the kids off the boat for some activity. Like today, I will probably go take the kids to the local maritime museum. Again, I mentioned libraries are also a great place to go take the kids, playgrounds. Once in a while, we'll find a pickleball court and we'll go play pickleball. That's kind of like our gym class. Or maybe we'll just take a walk and explore what there is in town so that at the end of the workday, we can grab dad, or if he explores with the kids, they can come grab me and we'll go get ice cream or do whatever the cool thing is they found when they explored earlier. This approach is going to help each person to get that focus time without interruptions. It's that tag teaming, okay? I mentioned this earlier, but use your downtime wisely. When you have those quiet moments, like when you're docked or anchored for the night, use it to catch up on work or homeschooling when you have those quiet moments, if you can. Looping is tiring, so sometimes that quiet moment at night, you just need to give yourself some time to rest, and that's okay too. So figure out what balance is going to work for you. Maybe you can have a quiet moment earlier in the morning to get a few things done before the rest of the crew wakes up. And before you start your passage. So just think about when you have downtime, what can you get done that will be life-giving, that it's going to help you either get something off of your list or is going to help you re-energize. Use those evenings, those early mornings when the boat is nice and still to tackle those focus activities. The last thing I want to mention as a tip for your scheduling and your time boxing is to embrace the unplanned. Some of the best experiences on the loop come from spontaneous changes in plans. So be open to delays or detours and use those opportunities to explore a new place or focus on some family time rather than feeling that you are bound to a really rigid schedule. I know sometimes that's hard and we are used to schedules, especially if we're just getting started on the loop and we're used to having that normal work schedule, that normal school schedule, but start to embrace those opportunities when things are unplanned and find something else that you can make that a valuable memory, a new memory for the family. Okay, our third point is about teamwork and flexibility. We talked a little bit about tag teaming, but just think about how there is a really big need for a teamwork mentality, not just for the partners, the adults, but your entire crew, where both the partners are willing to adjust as needed, but also help teach your kids how to be flexible and work as a team. You're all in this together. This might include swapping some duties when one person has a deadline, maybe the kids stepping in to help get some cleaning done or do a little bit of the cooking. Whatever it is that you're starting to teach your kids, they're going to gain a lot of skills and independence from not only observing how you handle different challenges, but also in how you involve them in working as a team to help each other along. And there's going to be some unexpected challenges that come up. And think about how you can work together for that. The flexibility and the mutual support of your crew can contribute to not only helping along, but also giving you a smoother family dynamic, especially when you're homeschooling and you're working remotely. There's a lot of things that are going on in your boat with working and homeschooling and moving, and working together is really going to help smooth that out. The unpredictability of the loop, whether it's longer travel days or unexpected boat repairs or maybe even last minute route changes, means that being flexible is really crucial. You and your partner might need to swap duties, whether it's the homeschooling or the boat work or some time at the helm or some meal prep, just to help keep everything running smoothly. So being flexible and swapping as needed, that teamwork is really going to be helpful for you. Share the responsibility for adapting to these changes, and doing that sharing of the responsibility helps maintain balance in both your work and your parenting. As you can see, balancing work, parenting, and homeschooling on the Great Loop or any nomadic adventure is a dynamic challenge, but with the right communication, maybe some scheduling, but also flexibility, it's also possible to create kind of a smooth routine. Even though it's a changing routine, you can make something that's going to work for you. So the 3 things we talked about here today were clear communication and setting expectations. Number 2 was scheduling and time blocking. And number 3 was teamwork and flexibility, and figuring out the right way to incorporate all of those into your crew's experience, your family's experience, is really going to do a lot to help balance all of those things you've got going on, because you do have a lot going on. I know for a lot of the loopers, they are retired, and they don't have kids on board. That reduces the number of things that they're balancing. You as a family have a little bit more going on your plate. So working together as a team, as the entire family, and especially as adults, is really important. So you and your partner especially are a team. By working together, you can make this journey enjoyable and rewarding for your entire family. So I hope these tips help you find that balance in your adventure. Before we wrap up, I'd love to hear from you. If I could wave a magic wand and make anything easier for you as you prepare for the loop, or as you're about to go on the loop, or as you're on the loop, what would it be? What would make your life easier? Why don't you drop a comment below or send me a message? I'm here to support you, and I would love to help you navigate any of the challenges that you're facing. Thanks for tuning in, and until next time, keep embracing the adventure. Happy looping! If you're inspired to start planning your own family Great Loop adventure, be sure to check out our other resources at looplifeacademy.com and stay connected for more tips, stories, and inspiration. Until next time, happy looping!